Welcome. This is the Bird's Eye View. I'm the War Duck, and I am here with Mr. Crow.
Hello, everybody.
All right, so recent news: there was this guy that he was a National Guard. I think he was a National Guard member at Fort Bragg, and he decided that he would release some documents that he shouldn't have had onto Discord. So, so this article now after that is people are wondering how he got his top secret security clearance. So, accused Pentagon leaker's violent rhetoric raises fresh questions about top secret vetting process. And so he's a 21-year-old Air National Guardman. So this Pentagon leaker, like, I don't think he wasn't in the Pentagon. It's not like he got these from the Pentagon, right? So they're trying to make this a little bit bigger than it is. Now, don't get me wrong, this is very, very serious. But because it undermines national security. It's not that what he released, as far as I understand it, is like putting specific people into harm's way. It's not that, but what it does is it undermines, any intelligence you give our enemies undermines the ability to do certain things. And then so that's kind of what this whole thing was, is him releasing this stuff because he wanted to feel important or whatever his motivation was, undermines national security and does put people at risk because, like I said, any intelligence you give our enemies, they can use against us.
So they did say in one of the article or in one of the news things that this is the biggest leak since the WikiLeaks. But I don't understand how, because you're right. They said it was.
It's not, and
it's not putting specific people in harm's way.
Well, as much as we know, like I actually
as much as they've allowed us,
right?
To know.
Well, not only that, is I actually can't even go out and look for these documents. Like, I can't because of my own position and my own security clearance. I'm not allowed to even go look to see what was said. If me searching for it could cause my own self to get in trouble, right? So I'm only going by like what the article specifically says about stuff, and they don't go into any detail about specifics because they're not gonna continue to release the information out. So
makes sense. Yeah.
So as of, we have blinders on, right? Because we don't know what was actually released. We're just going off what people are saying. But as far as I understand, he's not going to have like personnel and assets on the ground and locations. So that type of stuff likely isn't what he gave up, right? And about what they're saying about more along the lines of our interpretations of things and what we think that they, right? That's kind of what it sounded like.
It kind of, in one thing, it just reminded me of us talking about this too in one of the videos or something I've heard. It was saying that it was something to do with the like about our national defense. So, yeah, I don't know the details.
Right, and that's not what this article is about either. No. So that's, if you want to know what was whatever, that's on you. But let's get back to the for me, the point of this is the security clearance part, right? Because this whole article is about how did he even get a top secret security clearance? And this is where the left right now is harping on, oh my God, look at all these, they term red flags because they want to push it toward red flag laws to take your guns, but that's what this is being pushed toward. That's why they use that terminology. They specifically use that terminology to attack the 2A, your gun rights, and to tie this in to why this guy had a top secret security clearance, because now if you own guns and you do this, then maybe you're not right for security clearance, right? That's how they're pushing this information, because they want to control, people. And that's the whole point of red flag laws, is to take power away from people. No due process. That's the typical aspect of a red flag. I think you're I think you're a threat, so therefore I'm going to take your guns, and that's the end of it. No due process, no court cases, no facts or anything. However, let's get back to this whole security clearance aspect. Okay, so they gave him security clearance. Sounds like, let's see, in 2021 they gave him his security clearance. So if he's had it for a couple years. In an application for a firearms identification card, which is illegal, unconstitutional, and proven so, in 2020 he was denied, but it doesn't say where it was from, so I'm not sure where.
Well, it had to be local, because the reason why they denied it was because his police department.
No. Yeah, I agree with that. But what I'm saying is I don't know where that is, because for me, Utah doesn't have a firearms identification card. Arizona doesn't have a fire. California, I don't even think has one. So I'm not sure exactly where this guy was. What state still has that on the books? That's unconstitutional. Well, that's the point I was getting to, right? I don't know specifically where that happened. It doesn't actually say. Said
I get that then.
Said the relevant points were given to the police and the school letter, and any all documents were submitted to the investigator. He applied for a firearm card in 2018, 2019. Both were denied over concerns by his local police department about comments that he made at his school that led to suspension. Okay, so now what you have is not only have you violated his Second Amendment, and I'm not getting into whether this was right or wrong. Should this guy have guns or not? I'm not a judge. I'm not a court. That's not what I'm saying. As it is written into law, that is a violation of his Second Amendment rights, and they're using the First Amendment against him to say that they have the right to violate his Second Amendment, right? So freedom of speech. Your freedom of speech has now removed your right to have a gun. Now, was that right or wrong? I don't know. He hasn't done anything physically to anybody, so maybe not. That's not my concern. That's not what we're talking about. So I'm just pointing out these facts that are in this article a little bit. But see, now they get into the fact that, oh my God, he was denied that. So how could you possibly give him a security clearance to be an Air National Guardsman? Okay. So now you have a local police department dictating his federal security clearance. That's what you're talking about right here.
And that's already wrong.
Right?
I'm already looking at it like, wait, hold on. The way the security that we do at work, that's already wrong.
And so this is the slippery slope. This is the slippery slope about how the left is trying to control the narrative and trying to control people's rights. All these people fighting against the Second Amendment are fighting for more control for the government. And that's how they control. Right? If you don't have any way to defend yourself, they can do whatever they want. Just look at history. All you have to do is go look at every single nation that took away people's guns and what happened to them after they took away people's guns. Every single one of them, without fail, turns into a dictatorship, without fail. All right, so should this guy have gotten a security clearance? I don't know. We don't know what they actually looked into. They may have went in and looked and said, you know what? These weren't legitimate threats toward any one individual, so it's non-prosecutable. It's a bunch of nothing. There's no way for us against the law that says that we have to deny him his security clearance, thus his job. Because think about it, if you can't get your security clearance in the government or the National Guard or the military, you
don't have a job.
You can't be there, right? You don't have a job. In fact, I remember when I was in early or late 90s, like 96 to 2000, that area, right? That they were removing people because of domestic violence they were saying that you could no longer have a weapon.
Really?
So if you had been in trouble for domestic violence, then you couldn't possibly be able to have a weapon. So therefore, you couldn't be in the army because you weren't allowed to have a weapon.
Yeah. Seems kind of weird.
And I remember them kicking people out for that exact reason. Because if you can't be in a combat armed situation, if you can't have a weapon in the army, then what? I mean, a chaplain? Well, no, because even chaplain. Well, okay. So I remember that
because everybody I know within that realm, even if you want to say like medical of some sort, right? You still carry arms.
Yeah, at the base, you're still a combat soldier at the base, right? So
exactly.
So whatever they found may not have been enough to stop that from happening. But they're like questioning, he said some things, but here's my thing. It's like, okay, you're using freedom of speech against him, right? Okay, and the left is making a big deal about it. And then, so the Molotov cocktails, assassination bans, why did this guy get a top secret security clearance, right? Okay, keep asking yourself that. Why did this guy get a security clearance in the White House? Probably a much higher than a top secret, huh?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that I don't even have to ask this guy what he said to know this guy is not mentally capable of sustaining a higher than probably top secret security clearance. And what happened? He proved us all right. He was stealing stuff. He was caught. He was felony theft.
He was caught
from airports. And then magically he spent no time in jail or anything, because he was one of Biden's boys, So he didn't actually, because I tell you what, if it was you, it was me, or anybody else watching this right now, if you had went and stolen more than $1,000 worth of stuff, you would be in jail because it's a felony.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be out to go do it again. And you wouldn't be getting a security clearance, and you wouldn't be working in the White House.
I was just going to say, and you definitely know dang well I wouldn't have a job either.
Yep.
Anymore.
Okay, here's another one for you lefties. Why did this person get a security clearance? How did they maintain? Okay, they transitioned during their career. How did they maintain their security clearance afterwards? It's pretty obvious they're not straight in the head, right?
So this one
now
stood out to me though.
Now you were saying the biggest leak, right? That they were calling that. Okay, I say BS. I think this one's the biggest leak. The biggest leak.
This one stood out to me hugely because you and I discussed this 5 months ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
What was going on with this person? Like why they were.
So this was an
interesting thing.
This man was married to this Russian female.
Correct.
Then he transitioned, and he was still married to this Russian female. And then this Russian female says, "Hey, you know what? You need to protect my homeland, and so gather up all these medical records that you're entitled to, and let's provide those medical information on high-ranking military officers and everybody else in the military that this guy has access to the Russian government." Now, doesn't that sound like it's a lot more serious than maybe what are right? Because this specifically puts people at risk, specific names of people at risk. This isn't, hey, this is what the U.S. knows, or this is what the U.S. thinks. This is, hey, Captain blah, blah, blah has this physical ailment, use it against him. Or here's a sample of his DNA. Or, see, because we don't know what was provided. This was in their medical records. And military medical records do include your DNA so you can be matched.
Detailed.
So if somebody decided they wanted to create a specific DNA targeted virus, hey, here's General so-and-so's DNA. Here you go. Right? So don't tell me that this junior airman leaked some documents that were so high risk that he put all these people in danger when this person right here put specific people in danger. This is a much higher breach, in my opinion, than the other one. And
that's a good point.
You almost didn't hear anything about this. This got swept under the rug, right? U.S. Army's first trans officer indicted for spying for Russia. And you know what they didn't charge him with? Treason. Nope.
That's exactly what I was going to... Treason?
I bet you right now, I bet you money, I bet you right now that this person got a lesser charge and a lesser sentence than this junior airman will get. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
It's interesting, too, because here was something that, as I was listening to some of the feeds and the information about the younger... You know, I think his name's Jack, right? The younger
Jack.
Airman. So he's young. He's grown up with the internet most of his life. And they kind of played this off. I'll give him that benefit, right? But they were like, the father, I guess, came in there and said, you know, they don't understand what they put on the internet, on how the effect that it has. Because it's out there. To them, it's always been there. They don't understand the effect. And I think that could be due to age. However, taking that in consideration of what, okay, Jack put something out there, leaked it out, maybe showing off, because you brought up that effect too. I was like, yeah, I could see that. He's trying, he's young. He's bragging about his permissions and what he does in life. He's proud of what he does, you know? And so, yeah, he's probably bragging a little bit. However, now you look at this transgender guy, whatever, been around the block many times,
a long time,
and definitely knows right from wrong in this case. Like what he was doing and what he did is very, I agree with you.
Well, and that's the thing is putting something out on the internet versus specifically trying to sell to Russian operative. That's a whole, that's a whole
nother,
how that wasn't,
he had motive.
Yeah, and how that wasn't put to treason, how that wasn't an automatic slam dunk into treason, that they didn't even charge him with, by the way. Did not charge him with treason, which they should have. Should have been executed for treason. But because your point, the part of that article says social media is still new to the government.
No, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think it's new to the government.
No, it is, because listen this way. The internet is still new to the government. Laws have not
Laws haven't caught up. I get you with that.
The laws have not moved fast enough to keep up with the progress. Social media is really only been around mainstream for the last 10 years?
10 years, yeah, a decade.
Okay. So there's not a lot of laws on the books for social media.
I get where you're going.
On the other hand, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but you got to think about it from the government trying to get a handle on this stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's like they can't tell you, Mr. Krow, because of your job, you can no longer be on Facebook or Discord or anything else. They can't, right? What they can say is if you have a government device, you can't be on those. When they've done that with TikTok and other things.
They've done that a ton, yeah.
But when it goes to monitoring people's freedom of speech and stuff through social media, that's a new territory. And how can you monitor or regulate freedom of speech on the social media? And that's where they're caught, because they have to monitor. And then they're like, and then once somebody says something, it's already too late. You know, that breach is already out there.
Yeah, this is why they hated Trump having Twitter.
Right. And this goes to all the other aspects that we've kind of discussed here. Is the thing is, you can't regulate an individual's stupidity. You just can't. because then we would be a police state, right? Then you would be arrested for stuff that you haven't done that you thought about doing, right? Like Minority Report, right?
Exactly. You're going to create this based on your activities. You're going to create this stupid move. No.
Right. So this because and this right here also feeds into the anti 2A rhetoric, right? Is social media didn't leak this document, right? Why aren't they going, oh God, we gotta ban Discord. Somebody leaked some classified documents on Discord and you might have got people killed or something, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the same argument they used against 2A.
Yeah.
How Mr. Krow, how many guns walked down to the ammo store, bought themselves ammo, loaded themselves, and then how many of those guns went on a shooting spree without a human being?
Without a zero?
Yeah,
like,
right?
Sorry, you
how
made
many,
all of my math really easy.
How many AR-15s walked themselves down to the ammo store and bought ammo?
None.
None,
Yeah.
right? How many leaks on Discord happened because Discord?
Because of Discord?
Yeah, none.
None?
Because
I mean, it
Discord
still
didn't
takes
do
people.
anything. Discord's just
It
there
still
for
takes
people to
people.
say stuff, right? And this is the whole thing is you can't regulate people's stupidity. You can't regulate people's hate. And that's the problem, right? Is these things are available for people to be as dumb as they want to be with. And that's when they get themselves in trouble.
I was going to say, maybe naive is the one way I'd try to politically put it.
But
I don't know.
so to tie this all together is should this guy have gotten security clearance? I don't know. Should this person have gotten security clearance? Hell no. Should this person have gotten a security clearance? Hell no. And they both proved us right. Should this person got a security clearance? Obviously not, because Jack proved that he couldn't handle maintaining that information, and therefore he breached it. So there's your proof that he shouldn't have gotten the security clearance. All this other stuff, it's freedom of speech. There's no specific threats. However they adjudicate it, I don't know. But I can agree on the left that security clearance reviews need to be done much better.
Happen. Much more frequently, too.
Because I know I just did mine.
Happen.
I think it's every 5 years. I just did my renewal.
I was just going to ask you. That was going to be my follow-up question. How frequently do you have those, though?
I think it's every 5 years. It might be every 3, but... See, for me, it's like I get an email and they're like, hey, you got to update all your stuff and then we'll come interview and everything. I'm like, oh, God. So then I get on there and do it. And then I totally fucking forget about it until the next time I get that email. So it might be 3 years, but I think it's 5. I don't know. I can't remember.
I know with my work, we go through security reviews and kind of, it's the interview stuff. And every year, I go through it every year.
So for us, unless there's an incident... Then they do it again. But if there's if you change jobs, they do it.
Yeah. So
if I get a new position, they would do it again, even though I just had it done literally this year. But I think on a regular basis, I think they renew it every 5. I'm not sure. And even when I came from the military with my military security clearance, I still had to do another one when I took the government job. So it's not like they just like, okay, you have one, we'll just float it over. They still double check over things. Now,
yeah, I'm thinking we only do a high level every year. I'm trying to think. I think that's because we got a different process in place for some things that we're covering. Because there's a very deep one that we do. I want to say it's like every 3, maybe 5 years. It might be 5. But that's where you get like, it's the deep, like review your background again type stuff.
So, and I mean, I had to file, like, they have access, or they have the ability to access my financials. I had to sign a waiver for that so they can keep track of all that. They have access to all that stuff. What they look into, I'm not privy to any of that. I don't know.
I don't know what they look into. Yeah,
but obviously there's some security clearances that are slipping through. And maybe they should take a tighter look. But to all these lefties that because he had a gun or any of this other stuff that they, oh my God, how did he had an AR-15? How did he have a security clearance? Like that's BS, right? It's
Yeah.
what do you do that shows you can't maintain this level of stability in your brain, right?
See, I think that's the thing is I wish they would do more of the what is it, psychoanalyst? Is that what it, the mental state?
Yeah.
Because you and I like showing this picture again too. Like that was the first thing I saw that picture, and I'm like, we've talked about this person before. This was like the transgender thing. We brought this up a long time ago, and how you and I were concerned about it. Just it doesn't show ability,
But
and
see, it's a
we're not trying to.
very it's a very slippery slope. And that's the whole point of this, right? Is a very like none of these people that we've shown obviously should have had a security clearance. They've all proven that they should not have. Our point here is that this needs to be looked at a higher level across the board, not just this guy had an AR-15 or that he made some First Amendment protected sayings, right?
Yeah.
What does this guy do? What's his representation in person to people that don't know him? Right? These are the kind of things that you might want to look at when you're doing a security clearance. When this person goes out, does he talk about stuff he shouldn't talk about? Is he like, oh, I'm an Air National Guardman, and I got all these guns, and I got all this access to the, and I know all these people. Okay, that's obviously a red flag. Even if you didn't say anything, maybe we double check, or maybe you need to be retrained about what you can say. Right? Now,
that's where I think.
Hey,
yeah.
What's your representation when you go out in public? Do you look like somebody that I would trust with classified documents that could hurt people or save people's lives or get people killed? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. This person, right? Obviously not, because to me, this is still the biggest breach in the last 20 years, bigger than Snowden for me, because this puts specific individuals at risk.
It does. And there was one thing you brought up too, not to like head us down another rabbit hole if we needed to, but the conspiracy theory of cloning, where you're like, you know what, we have their DNA, we have to do this, and I'm like, holy crap, you realize what if people have your DNA, what they can do? Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
Well, God, man, I didn't even think about that. I was like, hey, let's
I was like, I don't want us to go down another rabbit hole.
Because Russia used to, well, I'm assuming they might still, but they used to have cities built that look American, that American city, replica American cities, that everybody in those cities speaks English, lives American lives. They put and grow up Russian operatives in those cities. So when they go to America, they are already in that culture.
Nice. Okay.
Now you clone somebody and you grow that person up in that culture, and then you snatch up that person and swap them out with a Russian operative. Okay. Never know. All right, now we're way off.
Yeah, it's definitely but you're starting to think yes. I was like, wait a minute, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and like saying there's a whole bunch of different stories out there about cloning and even about our president.
So if you think that that they should just give security clearances to all these people, then let us know what you think. But if you think they need to take a closer look, and there's a lot of these people that shouldn't be getting security clearance, hit that like button, leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you all next time.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time. I want to hear your deep conspiracy theories. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.